Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? Cosmoverse! For those of you who don't know, that's a bit of a meme from the old days, BitConnect. And I just found out this week was 8 years ago, the BitConnect launch. We know what a shit show that was, but it kicked off the industry. ICO days, the IDO days, the NFT days, and here we are from BitConnect to MiCA. So we want to kick off the conversation and talk about the policy meets protocol. Let me just give a fast round about our guests here. We've got Bojan representing Bosnia SEC. He's one of the key advisors to market regulation. We've got Stipe over there, venture building, European Parliament. And we have Roger, Swiss banking, over 40 years in the banking industry. Lots to add there. And then we have Sheraz with Web3 consulting, focusing on risk, compliance, and strategy. So I think we've got a good set of characters to kick it off. And I think we've gone from both extremes, from trust to now we're sort of maybe potentially stifling innovation. So here we are. We're gonna do a round table on this. I think we'll just kick it off and I'll try and talk a little bit less. Is Europe designing the future or is it regulating the past? I'll start with you, Bojan.
Nice to meet you. Nice to having you here. As Laurence said earlier, I am in market regulation for Securities and Exchange Commission. I have to say that we are not EU countries. And from that perspective, we still don't have any VASP, crypto, or whatever law in my part of the regulation. But we are trying to introduce new legislation. And we have a lot of obligation because of the manual mutual evaluation and the FATF rules. And it's main concern of our part of the country. So because of that, we have to introduce new law and we will do it very soon. So that is how to say, something that is people who are doing job with VASPs on crypto and whatever. And I think that will be a good law to everyone to come to federation and to work and create new business there.
Good one. Roger, what do you think? Are we just dinosaurs, or we have a path forward? We're regulating the past.
Well, if talking about regulation and looking, I was somewhere under the roof of so many different regulators, probably 20 to 25 regulators worldwide. The key that I want to give as a message, always talk to them, always be constructive. If it's possible, go and see them, maintain the dialogue, explain them when you have an issue that you want to solve. It's very rare that a regulator will kick you out and say, no, don't come to me because I never answer to questions. So that's my experience. I think we made major moves forwards with good cooperation and dialogue with a regulator in all the places, in Europe and outside of Europe, same. And this is also always a very fruitful way to move forward. The future will also have the regulators. This will not change, and this is important. And this is complex environment. Talk, explain, and they will come back to you with positive input.
Stipe, what do you think we're learning from the process, from a regular side and maybe from a builder side? Are there any insights as we're going through this sort of quagmire?
You mean for the regulation itself, or
well, I mean, it could be the regulators or the. I mean, we're basically both on two sides of the coin. We're learning through this process. We're maybe finding the gaps, and it's obviously, you know, any kind of bureaucracy is always going to have its holes. But is there new insights as we go through this?
In general, for every someone who been working in European Parliament and as someone who actually be involved in that process, I think it's very important actually for regulation. It has two roles. The first one is protect the industry and the users, and the second one is not to stop innovation. So the right answer would be a good balance. I think that is something what describes the regulation the best. In this moment, MiCA is for sure the most comprehensive one, and we can say even the only one which is actually settled on some kind of serious level. For sure, it's the most comprehensive one. In the US, we see some moves around the stable coins. They're interested about that part the most. East of the world also is trying to have something, what is going to connect their part of the world. And yeah, MiCA for sure it's the most comprehensive. So if we summarize this kind of global approach, I would say that China has the best hardware, US has the best software, and US has the best regulation. So that would be kind of some kind of the global division about the state of play.
That's a good kickoff. Sheraz, do you think is that going to be enough for, let me maybe kick it into the next one. Can Europe, if they can't win on speed, can they win on policy?
Yeah, thanks for having me first off. I'd say that Europe is unfortunately, when you look at the rest of the world, quite risk averse when it comes to innovation. Unfortunately, I think they are looking at things from a standpoint of they used to be a very wealthy kind of agglomeration of countries. If you look at, let's say I was born in the UK, you see that like the great British Empire of what it once was is today now a small little island that is relatively insignificant when you look at the macroeconomic kind of policy and things that are going on. Europe is trying to be too conservative when it comes to innovation, which to a certain extent I can understand. There's a lot of wealth, they want to protect, but it's kind of the irony of, let's say, larger kind of civilizations that kind of build up, and then once you kind of accumulate some sort of kind of wealth, you want to preserve it at all cost. But that preservation, unfortunately, today is not going to lead them into the next era. When it comes to MiCA specifically, I don't necessarily believe they did a bad job. I think there are a lot of people that were and are unhappy about it. I would say to those people, like, unfortunately, the industry has been around for close to a decade. They had time to get their shit together. They had time to get funded. The kind of funfair of Web3 had to kind of, let's say, have some delineation and some lining at some point. I think MiCA today does not have a lot to say about decentralized finance, which if you look at, let's say, the origination of this industry was, it is a distributed ledger technology. It is meant for more decentralization there. If you look at a lot of the dApps, they don't need to comply by all parts of MiCA. So there is still quite a significant part of the industry that can operate just by abiding by certain rules and certain regulations that are local. So there's still, I don't think it's too preventative of a variety of things. And ultimately, we need regulation to be able to scale because we need some standardization and some homogeneity within the markets worldwide, and that provides it. If you look at the US today, a lot of the SEC lawsuits, if not most of them, have gone away. There's a lot of treasuries in the UK, in the US that used to kind of be there and kind of, let's say, a war chest to go and fight against the SEC and to prove themselves. Now, a lot of those provisions are, let's say, freed up, and we see a huge spree of M&A happening from the US to Europe. And I do believe a lot of that is not only thanks to, let's say, the different regime change in the US, but it's also thanks to MiCA, which has allowed some of these large organizations to say, okay, we can come in and we can enter into the European market in a safe manner today, and we can invest there, we can acquire, we can build up our global expansion through Europe. And if MiCA wasn't there, I don't think that would be possible.
Maybe to that point, interesting about, I think generally no one really likes rules, but we know we need rules, otherwise we're going to just have a bunch of bad actors. So when you start to think about the whole MiCA, and if it's as comprehensive, I'm going to point this to you, Stipe, if it's as comprehensive as we say it is, perhaps that's the test bed of what will work and what will work and what won't work. And then maybe from that point forward, then what happens when we actually start to code that, and the code becomes a regulator, then what?
From point of regulation, it's not possible because we actually need someone who is behind the code, who is actually legally, who has obligation to actually, who wrote the code, that person, or it can be some DAO organization or something behind, but they're legally entitled to actually be in charge of the all legal penalties or whatever it would be around. So, but it's something what is very hard to regulate in one hand, because in general, innovation, it's always hard to regulate because it's moving too fast, and regulators, they are not so in the topic. Cycles are kind of moving so fast from one to another, and even for the founders, you know, it's running too fast, and you know, it's always tricky to be on track, on same line. But what is kind of new standard today, that we have so-called one-pagers. They are kind of very clear and clean messages, so you know, users, both founders, projects, but also consumers can easily understand their kind of rights and obligation, and that is kind of, in my opinion, that is very good starting point. Because if we try to be super comprehensive, you'll always find something what is not touched enough, what is not caught enough. And even with MiCA, it was the issue on the very moment when it was done, when it was agreed on a plenary session in discussion between the European Parliament, European Council. It was already outdated on the day one. So yeah, it's normally a situation with innovation.
May I just compliment as well? Like, I don't think European regulation is impeding on innovation or growth just solely due to the fact that you can, I was going to say you can do whatever the fuck you want, but like in today's society, like if you are bringing utility through any type of decentralized application, you can create an offshore company. You can create a company in the UAE. You can have your company in Croatia. You can offset a variety of risk through the different applications that you have in different jurisdictions. You can, I don't want to say live wherever you want, but any European passport is pretty strong. So if you wanted to live somewhere else, if you wanted to do a variety of things from a personal income standpoint, you can be creative with your corporate structure. So you can have your token foundation based in Switzerland. You can have an operational dev shop out of Croatia. You can launch your token then out of BVI or Cayman. You can do a variety of things. I think sometimes, you know, we often try to put blame on other people for us, let's say, being unable to do something. Look at Pump.Fun, look at Tether, look at these extremely, let's say, profitable companies. They have distributed teams. They were able to do a lot of these things from Europe. I think we often try to make it, we oversimplify the fact that there are challenges in front of us, where actually a lot of the best innovators in the world have always found solutions to overcome those hurdles.
Roger, you've been in the industry for over 40 years, and look, you know, everybody talks about innovation and stiflement, and you know, with the regulations maybe preventing the speed of innovation. But I wonder if we reframe that in a way that we can maybe, as a region, leverage that to an advantage. Do you see some way that as a sort of a North Star, that can be itself a source of innovation? I mean, I think people very rarely, refer to bureaucracy as innovation, but maybe there's a framework there that can be leveraged as for others to use.
It's interesting what you're saying, because I just had this in mind to share it with you over all these years of experience. First of all, when you have European regulation, and I met so many of them, the implementation is national. It's European national. And you know what? There is no real playing field which is very, very flat. You still have differences. Look at MiFID. It's amazing. We are now 8 years after the implementation of MiFID. The way to translate MiFID locally in Luxembourg or in Germany, there are very big differences. which from a commercial point of view could more lie on advantages on the Luxembourg side. For me, the same thing will happen with MiCA, with also an uneven way to translate and to do it. That's a first obvious advantage where some regions, some countries, some jurisdiction can take advantage. What I also experienced many, many times, and coming back a bit to you about the speed, because things go so fast. What I observed, as well in Singapore, in Switzerland, and in Luxembourg, so smaller jurisdiction, that sometimes auto-regulation helps to move far, and the regulator very often is pretty much open-minded. When the industry says, look, we decide as a gentleman agreement to do this, I never saw a regulator saying no. What the regulator, he will look at it, at some stage he will adapt it and transform it, but it's not altering the speed. That's the two things I observed several times in 42 years.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Bojan, you're right now you're navigating, you've been pushing internally to try and I sense there's a lot of appetite, but they're looking to you to sort of lead the way and like, young men, show us how it's done. As you start to get them on board, getting stakeholders, understanding, okay, what needs to be done, and that then becomes enshrined and you have a clear path forward. And at some level it starts to become codified. I think at the end of the day, a lot of this is going to be codified on chain. I mean, that's where we're moving. When we start moving that direction, where does the accountability layer lie?
Okay, from my point of view, I can say that I'm working for some old regulator, because we are regulating only the securities market for now, and with changing the laws in the country, because AML law, my institution, and also I thought that we got the regulation or oversight or supervision the crypto market in our part, and the big problem is for now the low knowledge in the topic, how to say, in the topic of the VASPs, cryptocurrency and everything, and the real challenge for regulators or for other bodies who need to deal with it in the type of from the government is the low knowledge of the whole field. So we have to, from Federation of Bosnia Herzegovina, we have to learn a lot concerning the crypto community, and the crypto community can see opportunity to teach us a lot and to create a path for regulation. It's I think that now it's happening that we are more open to it, so maybe it's an opportunity to everything. So.
Yeah, look, there's definitely a market pressure to force everybody to get their shit together, which, I mean, we're all happy about that. That's why we're here. It's accelerating fast. We've gone from complete sort of Wild West, no rules. We've going very fast into potentially very strict rules depending on where you are. I feel, and this is sort of the, maybe the big takeaway, I feel there's a middle path forward. What do you think, as an industry, as policymakers, as builders, what can we do to work together in the next 12 months to accelerate outcomes? And I'll start with you, Stipe.
I would answer that very easily. It's communication. We have a working group on European level, working group of European Commission, and I think involvement from many factors in that group is very important. Communication is really number one, because in this very situation we have founders, we have industry on one side, and regulators are some kind of bad guys on the another side, and that's not right. They need to be on the same table. They need to discuss about in common interest of whole people in this regard of the 500 million people of EU. They need to discuss about the benefit and kind of best manner for the whole continent, and I think that is a number one message I would like to send from here.
Sheraz, what closing thoughts on what's the path forward? I mean, we can, in the next actionable steps in the next 12 months, what can we do?
I think for everyone in the room, right? I mean, all of you that are building, all of you that are looking towards the future, not even in Europe, but in Web3, build something that the person next to you is going to buy, that is going to use, that is going to spend money on. We often build things and we're like, I hope somebody uses this. If you're not going to spend money on it, why should you expect other people to? So it can be really simple, but ultimately you need to think about what is going to generate revenue and then how can I scale. I don't think you should worry about, oh, where's the best place for taxes? Because like, newsflash, you only pay taxes if you're making money. If you're just losing money, you're not paying taxes. Your taxable revenue on zero revenue is zero. So like a lot of people come to us, yeah, you know, we want to create this company in Zug and do this thing and na. The difference between the taxable income in Zug and Geneva, for example, is 2%, 14 and 12. But people are like, oh, I really need to go to Zug, or I really need to go to Dubai because there's no income. Yeah, but you need to make income. So think about making money locally. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this with like a regulator on the panel, right? But you know, if you're going to make 1,000 francs, as long as you're not, you know, money laundering, selling drugs, if you're doing some DeFi, DApp, whatever, they don't care. It's $1,000. Do something, make something valuable, and then when you're looking at scale and you will have some money to do that, then you can think about being a bit more compliant, being this. Don't break some of the fundamental laws that we all know exist since the end of time. Build something valuable, make some money, and then everything else you can figure it out.
Bojan, you've got 12 months and you want people to come to Bosnia and start building. What are some actionable steps that you can maybe invite people to come help build with you?
Yeah, maybe that is the main purpose I'm talking here today, but with the new law we want to introduce, and we want it also to apply it to real economy. So from my point of view, we will try to make a good place to start investing, and also to create a new projects, and we are trying to create a legal framework to be open, like open-minded, that we can easily create or adapt some bylaws and to be at service at the community.
What I'm hearing is regulatory arbitrage, go to Bosnia and set up shop.
Yeah.
And final words, Roger, I'll give it to you because we're just now running out. Give us some words of wisdom. You know, you've been in this space, you know, and
I'm an observer.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, give us some hope, man. Give us some wisdom, some hope. Let's walk away, you know, feeling like inspired after this. Come on, no, I know
I know what I will say.
You have it.
Yes, I know what I will say, because it's day number 3. I came here to learn, and I can tell you I learned a lot. I'm not part of your community, but I'm interested in your community. I even love it. But there's one key word that I would like to give back to you. It's education. And education, you do things so well, but do realize that a huge percentage of the population doesn't understand all that. And that's probably my key message. No, I coming from the old world, I know already a lot, but I have a lot of respect of people who know 2% of what I know. So don't forget them, because we are creating the financial world of tomorrow, and for this we need education. Never forget to educate. You know, but the other ones do not know. That's my key message.
How do you not love his energy, right? Man, seriously, everybody should talk to this guy. Just words of wisdom coming out of his mouth. I want everybody to just give a final hand of applause for our panelists. That wraps up some policy protocol.